Hi everyone, and welcome to the first part of the Eurofly 3 audio tutorial series. In this series, I'm going to attempt to guide you through all the various options and properties and functionalities and aspects of the program so that you are then able to use it as efficiently as possible and hopefully to your satisfaction. Let's get started with the very first and basic thing, and that is how to even install it. Well, fortunately, in Eurofly 3, you no longer need to download huge install packages off of a website, because the only thing you need to download is just a tiny little program called the launcher, and that program will then always keep all the necessary game files up to date for you. So the only thing you need to do is to create a folder for the launcher anywhere on your hard drive that you like. In my case, I have already created such a folder called Eurofly 3.
Eurofly 3.
And in here, I do have the launcher executable.
Launcher 3.6.exe.
As you can hear, it's the version 3.6 of the launcher. So let's start it right now.
The required files are downloading.
Launcher3.6.exe.
It may take several minutes.
And as you can hear, we've been told that the required files are downloading and that it may take several minutes. This will largely depend on the speed of your internet connection, because it has to download a lot of data, several gigabytes of data even, possibly. But while it's beeping, we know everything's fine because it's working. If it stopped beeping, that would mean that it has stopped working. In the meantime, while it downloads the necessary files, let me explain the difference between the two modes that you can have Eurofly installed in. And these are either portable or installed. And the only difference between these is where your user data is kept. Eurofly is designed in such a way that your custom settings, your profile data, your flight history, any custom translations you may have made, or your favorite waypoints or routes, everything like that is always kept in a single place, and that place is called the user's data folder. In the portable version, if you choose the portable version, that user's data folder is stored in the same big folder that you created for the launcher and where all the necessary files are downloaded to. Meaning that if you ever wanted to put that game on a thumbstick and maybe carry it around, play it on another computer that's not yours, you can just pick up the whole Eurofly 3 folder and then use it off of a thumbstick and you'll be fine, and all your data will be there. All your career, all your progress will be there. But should you ever want to reinstall the whole game from scratch, don't forget about the user's data folder. Either back it up somewhere before deleting the whole game folder, or you'll lose all your data. Whereas with the installed version, that user's data folder is kept in your documents folder. Meaning that if you uninstall the Eurofly 3 folder, that custom data will still be kept on your computer, and if you ever decided to re-download the game via the launcher, that data would still be there. But it would be a little more difficult if you wanted to put the whole game like on a thumbstick. So do keep this difference in mind. It has finished downloading in the meantime, so let me see what it's doing now.
Choose mode. Installed button.
It's asking me to choose the mode that I was just talking about. In my case, it's going to be the portable mode.
Portable button. Choose language dialog. List. English.
And now it's asking me to choose the language. At the moment of recording this, there are just two languages available, which are Slovak and English. So I will choose English with the
Slovak, English
arrow keys and confirm with enter. And let's see what happens now. Welcome to Eurofly. World Map Exploration. As you can hear, we got a welcome jingle, But if you know the previous versions of Eurofly, you've probably noticed that this one is a new one. It's a different jingle. So yeah, there are several jingles this time around in Eurofly 3. Most of them are new. And they alternate. Every time you start the program, you'll be greeted with a different one. So you'll get a slightly different welcome every time. So yeah, we're in the main menu. The very first thing I'm going to show you is the volume control panel, or the volume mixer. That is a very useful thing where you can adjust the volumes of various sound effects. You bring it up with Control-Shift F12.
Volume settings dialog. Menu combo box 10 collapsed.
And as you can hear, there's the slider for the menu music volume. You can change its value with the arrow keys, or you can also use any other keys that you might be used to when changing a slider, such as home,
100, 0,
and page up,
10, 20, 30,
or page down,
20, 10, 11, 12.
That's to 12, yeah. I would say that's perfect. You can either confirm the change with Enter, or just tab around with the Tab key.
OK button, carriage
there's
return.
the OK button,
Cancel button.
and there's the Cancel button. This mixer, just like many other parts of Eurofly, is actually contextual. So that if you bring it up inside the actual game while in flight, or while controlling your aircraft at the airport, you will see many more sliders here.
Eurofly 3 no profile window.
As you can hear when reading the title of the window, it says Eurofly 3 no profile. That means that no profile, no pilot data, no player data is currently loaded into memory. The program has no profile, no like a user account to use. We'll explain that in a second, but first let's just browse through the menu.
World Map Exploration.
If you've played Eurofly before, you're probably familiar with this. What this does is it lets you bring up the entire map of the whole world and explore it at your leisure. We'll be talking about this in a later part of the series.
Profiles.
Next is Profiles. I'll get to it in a minute.
Speaker test.
Speaker test lets you check that you have your headphones or speakers positioned correctly.
Left. Right. Speaker test.
Next, there's
Settings.
Settings, and I'll be talking about the settings in the next part, in part 2 of this tutorial series.
Add-ons.
In add-ons, again, if you've played Eurofly before, you'll probably be familiar with this. This is where you can download all the possible additional air traffic control voices, steward voices, task packages, and so on. And again, we'll get to it in a later part.
About the program.
About the program, this is where you get a basic description of the program, like what Eurofly even is. You get the version number in case you ever need to report a bug. You'll learn when this was created and by who made the translations into the various languages. And since it's displayed in a standard dialog in a standard edit field, it's actually really easy to copy and paste the email address of the person you may possibly want to reach out to report a bug or something.
Exit.
And exit is the very last one, and I guess you can tell what that one does.
World Map Profiles.
So, let's talk about the profiles. Because as you've probably noticed, there's no menu item that would actually allow us to start flying. You know, to play the game, to have some fun. Because we have no profile, so you just need to have at least one profile before you can start actually playing. This menu item brings up the Profile Manager dialog.
Profile Manager window. Profiles combo box collapsed.
We have the combo box here with profiles to choose from, but it's currently empty because we haven't created any profile yet. You see I'm pressing arrow keys and nothing happens. Now, when I press Tab,
Create new button.
there's the Create New button,
Restore button.
Restore,
Close button.
and Close.
Restore button.
If you've had a profile before, but you've lost your login credentials, or forgotten them, or there's some technical issue with the profile, you can use this part of the dialog. I'll activate it now.
Lost data restoration dialog. Get combo box lost profile collapsed.
And there's the combo box that's asking us what we want to get, what we want to restore. Either the whole lost profile,
lost password,
or just the lost password. So if we've just forgotten our password, we'll choose lost password and press tab.
Name or email edit blank.
We input our name or email into this next edit field. It's a good idea to input existing data. And if you want to restore the password via email, you need to actually, put in an address that you have access to. Okay. The neighbors had to decide to start throwing fireworks as I record these tutorials. But, there are many circumstances that I have control over, that I can influence, but not this one, unfortunately. All right. If you put in an email address that you no longer have access to, obviously, there's no other way to make the profile restoration possible.
Send button carriage return.
And after that, there's just the send button.
Name or email. Get combo box lost password collapsed.
If we've lost our profile,
our
entire profile, and we want to have it re-downloaded from the server, obviously we need to fill out
name or email edit
both
blank.
Our name or the login email that we used when creating the profile,
password edit blank,
as well as the password that we used originally.
Send button carriage return.
And then we hit send. In either case, you will receive a verification code or a security code to your inbox. That will be valid for 15 minutes. You'll just need to copy it out of the email and enter it on the next screen that appears after you click send. And if the code has been pasted correctly, your access or your credentials will be restored.
Cancel button. Restore button. Create new button.
But let's create a new profile now.
New profile creation dialog. Type combo box online collapsed.
The first thing it's asking us is to choose the type, which can be either online,
offline,
or offline. The difference is, well, basically, if you just want to fly around and have some fun and you don't care about being included in the global leaderboard, about being ranked, being able to perform more advanced types of flights like charter flights or business flights, if you don't want to talk to other pilots and any other features like that, you can just create an offline profile and nothing will ever be synchronized with the game server. But if you choose to create an online profile to be able to do all of the things that I've just mentioned, which we'll do in this case, you will have to fill in a little bit more information.
Name edit blank.
Let's enter our name.
Lucas Hosnittel. Sex combo box male collapsed.
Next item is sex. I'm a male.
Email edit blank.
Let's put in my email.
Confirm email edit
then
blank.
You have to confirm it to make sure you didn't make any typos.
Password edit blank.
Next, you need to choose a password.
Confirm password edit blank.
Confirm that as well.
Language combo box English collapsed.
Yeah, English is my preferred language in this case.
Country combo box Afghanistan collapsed.
Oh, well, my home country is not Afghanistan.
Denmark.
But rather
Czech Republic.
The Czech Republic.
Home airport combo box other collapsed.
We can choose a home airport. Basically the airport that you like the most and that you would like to be offered anytime when choosing an airport to start a flight at. And since there's quite a lot of them to just arrow through, and the name of every airport always starts with its country where it's located.
Abu Zia by Abu Dhabi, OMAA, Afghanistan Herat, Khwaja Abdullah Ansari, OAH.
You can actually start typing the first letters of the country name to narrow the search down. So let's say that my preferred airport that I'd like to make my home one is located in England. So I just typed ENGL.
England Badminton, EG03.
And let's choose that one.
Year of birth combo box 2003.
My year of birth.
Description edit blank.
The description is essentially just a short introduction of you that other players will see online if they decide to take a look at your profile. But this is not mandatory. You don't have to fill this out if you don't want to.
Create button carriage return.
And here's the create button.
The profile has been created successfully. Profiles combo box Lucas Hosnadel active default collapsed.
We've been told that the profile has been created successfully, and we're back at the combo box with profiles to choose from. Because you can have multiple profiles on the same computer, even under the same user account. So you could switch between them even in one session of the program. That's why it now said that this
profiles combo box Lucas Hosnadel active default focused collapsed
is now both the active one and the default one. One of all the possible profiles that you may have always has to be set as the default, meaning that every time you start the program, that one will be loaded automatically and you will be logged into it. And the fact that it's active means obviously this profile is currently loaded. Now, if I tap through the dialog again, there are a couple more things.
Create new button.
We can still create another profile.
Edit button.
But we can edit this one if we decide we want to change any of the information that we've put in.
Delete button.
We can delete it, which we don't want to do at this time.
Restore button.
We can restore it. I talked about that a couple minutes ago.
About the player button.
There's about the player.
Activate button.
Activate. It's already active in this case.
Set as default
Set
button.
as default if we had multiple profiles.
Close button.
And close. But let's take a look at the about the player screen.
About the player button.
Right now.
Player data for Lucas Hosnadel window. About the player edit about the player Lucas Hosnadel.
So this window is a bit more complex. It's actually split into several parts. And the first field that the cursor lands in when this screen comes up is the field with all the info about the player, about the profile.
ID 37.
This is profile number 37. It means that this is the 37th Eurofly 3 profile that's been created since this feature became available.
Type, online.
It's an online profile. I've covered the difference.
Sex, male, email, Lucas, language, English.
And there's all my
country, Czech Republic.
Information that I filled out.
Home airport, EG03, badminton, year of birth, description.
I didn't enter any description, so that's why it's empty.
Level 1, trainee.
This next item is level 1 trainee. It's talking about, as you progress through Eurofly, as you make flights and proceed in your career, you'll gain higher levels, and that will move you up the leaderboard and you'll be ranked higher. At the beginning, before you can even start doing any flights that will earn you points and money and place you on the leaderboard, you have a series of basic training flights first. In basic training, you'll have to learn to fly 9 different predetermined airplanes of different types so that you gradually learn how to control planes of various types, how the various systems work, how to land at airports of different types, and so on. And as you complete the training for each of these 9 basic airplanes, you'll become qualified for it, meaning that particular training stage is finished. You'll receive one airplane of this type of your own that you will then be able to perform any flights with as you wish, free flights or any other kinds of flights. And you'll move on to the next training stage. By the way, after you've completed the 9 basic training stages, obviously you can qualify for other planes as well, but any other qualification beyond the basic training is already paid, meaning that you will have to have earned some money first by making actually ranked and rated flights to use that money to then pay for the subsequent qualifications. As you progress in the leaderboard, you get a higher level.
Ranking 0.
Ranking 0, obviously, because we haven't done any
Last
flights
flight,
yet.
none.
But if we have this next item, the last flight 1, would contain information about that last flight, which plane we flew with, from where to, and so on.
Flights 0.
Overall, we've performed 0
Flights without crashing 0.
0 flights without crashing.
0 kilometers.
Obviously, we haven't flown any
0
distance
kilometers
yet,
without 0 minutes.
and we haven't spent any time flying yet either.
Fatal stalls 0. Consecutive fatal stalls
And
0.
all these other items
Fatal crashes 0. You caused the crash 0. You were victim of the crash
are
0.
related to the rules that govern the behavior of the pilots and of the ranking in Eurofly 3. You can either check out these rules on the game's official website at eurofly.stefankiss.sk, or we may discuss them at a later point in this series.
You were victim of the crash, 0. You caused the crash, 0.
The difference between having caused the crash and having been victim of the crash is that if you don't follow the air traffic controller instructions and cause a crash or a collision, that's self-explanatory. But if another pilot who happens to be flying near you did not follow their tower instructions or their TCAS and thus have collided with you, then you're the victim of the crash. Yeah, this is possible. This can actually happen in Eurofly 3.
Minor crashes, 0. Points, 0.
We haven't earned any points.
Penalty points, 0. Earned, 0. Qualifications.
Or earned any money yet, obviously. And we haven't received any penalty points either. But again, like I said many times before, if we had made any flights, these values would be different.
Qualifications, 0.
We haven't been qualified for any planes yet.
Badges, 0.
And haven't received
certificates,
any
blank.
special
Blank.
badges or certificates either.
Qualifications, edit qualifications.
The next part of the window explains the qualifications we may have earned in a little bit more detail. If we had any, they would all be listed here.
Combo box collapsed.
The next part of the window is a little bit more complicated, and it actually consists of 3 different parts or 3 different controls. This combo box is currently empty, but if we had made any flights, it would contain our flight history. All the flights we've ever performed with this profile. And if we wanted to learn more about a particular flight among those, we could choose it in this combo box.
Filter edit blank.
Next tab key press is the filter edit field, but yet another tab press.
Edit blank.
Brings up a 3rd edit field. And if we had a flight chosen in that combo box before, this last edit field would contain all the details about that flight, like which plane it was made with, again, how long it was, how long it took, the destination and the starting airport, if it was successful, how much we've earned, how many passengers we've had on board, etc., etc. But since there are over 100 planes in Eurofly 3, and thus the flight history can be pretty huge, there's the filter
edit blank,
which is something you'll encounter pretty often in Eurofly 3. In here, you can type anything to help you narrow the search through the flight history down. For instance, let's say if I type Cessna, then the flight history combo box will only display those flights that I have performed with any Cessna. Or if I type like Prague or London or Berlin here, then the flight history combo box would only display those flights where I was either flying from or to Prague or London or Berlin, etc.
Edit blank. Booked flights, edit booked flights.
And this very last field in this about the player window is the booked flights edit field. That's related to performing scheduled flights. This is discussed in greater detail in the rules, but essentially one of the new features and one of the new flight modes in Eurofly 3 involves regular flights, regular services on predetermined routes that the Eurofly company operates. So for instance, let's say that there's a flight from Prague to London every Wednesday at 5 p.m. If you selected scheduled flights from the main menu, you would be able to choose any of these regular routes and book that flight for yourself. That would mean that the next flight on next Wednesday at 5 p.m. will be performed by you and no one else will be able to take it. But in that case, if you wanted to actually be rated for that flight and earn points and money for it, you would then actually have to perform that flight at the specified time. And if you didn't do that, you would actually lose money and gain penalty points.
Close button.
That's everything in the About the Profile window. So let's just close it for now.
Profile Manager window. About the Player button.
We're back in the Profile Manager.
Activate button. Set close button.
But that's everything in here, so we can close that as well.
Eurofly 3 Lucas Hosnadel window.
And we're back in the main menu. And as you can see,
World Map Training.
there's a new menu item right at the top of the menu this time, and it's training. So as I was saying before, since you've already created a profile, you could start doing the training right now. But I would recommend you to be a little more patient if you can and listen through the rest of the series, because there's still a lot of things you need to know before you sit down in the cockpit for the first time, so that you know what you're doing and don't crash before you even take off. So that's been it from me for this part of the series. Thanks for listening, and I'll be looking forward to meeting you again in part 2.